and then everybody went back to their possessions. Now, it was a time for the turning of captivity, so to speak. But if you look at the Jubilee itself, God said that you shall hallow the 50th year, and you will proclaim Jubilee throughout all the land unto all the inhabitants thereof, and it shall be a Jubilee unto you, and you shall return every man to his own possession. You will return every man to his own family. Now, when it comes to talking about captivity most of the time means you are taken from one place and you are sent into slavery or exile in another place, and they go and they torture you, they bully you, they treat you anyhow they want. But sometimes captivity is not a physical dislocation. There are times in the lives of people when captivity is a situation that is mental captivity, where mentally you are displaced mentally. Sometimes your health is also displaced. Your health can go into captivity. So health can go into captivity. Your academic life can go into captivity. Various aspects of your life can go into captivity. So the state of captivity can be a physical relocation. Sometimes it's a displacement of your spiritual life. So spiritually, you used to be that, but now you are this. Mentally, you used to be that, but now you are that. Financially, you used to be this, but now you are that. Health-wise, you used to be this, and now you are that. One of the most painful things in life is especially physical health captivity, where you used to be very healthy, and suddenly you are very sick. You don't know what to do with yourself. You think you are going to die, and so on and so forth. Okay? So, during the Jubilee, everybody's captivity is turned. And I want to be looking at turning of captivity with the life of a gentleman in the Bible called Job. Job responded to the timing of God for the turning of his captivity. The turning of captivity is a period when you bless people. You bless people, and then you also receive a blessing. So we are talking about sanctifying the Jubilee, because the activities you did during the Jubilee was a way of glorifying God, and they were acts of righteousness. So if you had a slave in your house and you freed the slave, it was an act of righteousness. If you had somebody's property in your hand and you released that person, it was an act of righteousness. I want to encourage you as a believer that this year, 2020, if you are a follower of the campaign, especially the love revolution, and somebody's owing you and you know they can't pay, release them. And then there are people who are owing you and they can pay, but intentionally they are vexing your soul or your spirit. It's not worth it. Write them a letter or send them a text and tell them to keep the money, or they should keep the property. It will free your spirit, because some of the things, the more you fight about it, the more you wait for it, the more you push for it, you just trouble your spirit and your soul for nothing. So when you free people that are owing you, when you free people that have whose property you have, is an act of righteousness. But let me show you this. There is a very tricky form of unrighteousness in the Jubilee. The Jubilee period was a period where people experienced the mercies of God. The mercies of God. You just experienced the mercies of God. In the Jubilee, when you refuse to accept the mercies of God, is an act of unrighteousness. You see, if I extended freedom and liberty to somebody, it is righteousness. In the same way, if I accept freedom, if I accept liberty, if I accept the mercies of God, it is also an act of righteousness. I will explain. When God comforts you and you refuse to be comforted, It is an act of unrighteousness. In fact, one of the greatest forms of wickedness you can exhibit on earth is to refuse the mercies of God and present God to the world as if he's weak, he couldn't help you. As if he's wicked, he couldn't help you. You see, you are denying the power of God. You are denying his mercies. You are denying his grace. I mean, can you imagine you are walking about? I remember there was a time where we traveled somewhere to Nigeria, mommy and I, and we had somebody who was accompanying us to go to Nigeria. And we got to this escalator. Escalator is the thing you stand on and then it takes you down like that. When we got to that thing, a Nigerian man realized that this sister who was walking with us was panicking. So the Nigerian man tried to hold her hand so that he would walk her down the escalator. Our sister refused. I was in front of her and mommy. She was with mommy at the back. I was in front of the two of them. But I could hear the man saying, "Madam, let me help you," because the man could see that this woman was panicking. And I heard her saying, "Leave me." And the way she said the "leave me," you would think a grandfather invented the escalator. You can't walk on the thing. But the man has realized you can't. He's trying to help you. She said, "Leave me. Oh, I'm fine. Leave me alone." Oh, when they started walking on the thing, before they got to the landing, this woman was flat on her back. Bam. I felt so embarrassed, but I did like I hadn't seen it. I continued walking. Later on, I said, "Mom, you see the way your sister fell?" She said, "Did you see it?" I said, "Of course. I saw it with the back of my head." But you know, some of you, that is the way you treat God. You land, he's trying to help you, you say no. You've gone through a divorce, you are refusing to recover. You go through bereavement, you are refusing to recover. Your business goes down, you are refusing to recover. Your ministry goes down, you are refusing to recover. That is like the people of Israel. God said, "I have comforted them." They've refused to be comforted. Some people, and you know what you do? You are releasing God to the accusers. And when you are in a church or in your family, you make the family look very bad. I have seen people in families, you help them, it doesn't help. Give them a pair of shoes. The following day, the shoes will look like Charlie Watty. Pay their school fees. They will go to school and refuse to learn, and they will fail an exam. You give your wife money, she still looks tattered. You give your husband all the help, he will throw it away and come back. What you are doing is, you know what? You are not sanctifying the name of the Lord. But I pray for somebody today that when it's time to recover, you will recover. When it's time to be healed, you will be healed. Because if you refuse to recover, you are saying there is no balm in Gilead and there's no physician there. But if there's balm in Gilead and there is a physician there, you must recover, and recover in a good time. Job went through many things. Within weeks, the man's family was gone. Not weeks, hours, minutes. His family has disappeared. His business has disappeared. His personality has disappeared. Within a few days, the man was just the embodiment of sickness, from the crown of his head to the soles of his feet. But my Bible said that in the fullness of time, God turned the captivity of Job. The Bible said, and the Lord turned the captivity of Job when he prayed for his friends. Can you imagine? The Bible said the Lord turned his captivity when he prayed for his friends. It means he was in that state and still praying for others. The man was sick and praying for others. He was broke and praying for others. He was in pain and praying for others. He was in crisis and praying for others. And when God looked at him, he said, this is great faith. I will turn the captivity of this man. Listen to me. There are times in your life when you cannot run, walk. There are times you cannot walk, crawl along. There are times you cannot crawl along, sit on your butt and push yourself. There are times you can't even do that. Lie on the floor and roll. And there are times you cannot roll, just lie down and scream. But by all means, do something. Do something. Your captivity will not be turned, and you will not return to your possession if you are waiting for everything to be perfect. You're waiting for everything to be perfect before you get up. You will never get up. The Lord turned the captivity of Job when he prayed for his friends. And the Bible said, and the Lord gave to Job twice as much as he had. That is my prophecy over you today, that if you have been in any form of captivity because of the COVID, may God give you twice as much as you had before. Before this season of the Jubilee, when the land was fallow and there was nothing on the ground, may God give you twice as much as you had before. Somebody shout twice. Twice. Anything you had before your personal captivity, I declare upon your life, you are receiving twice. Anything you had before you went into captivity, anything you had before your sickness, before your business crisis, before your family crisis, before your state of unrighteousness, God is giving the thing back to you 2 times. The last time I was preaching over here, and the Lord told me, he said, ask my people, anybody I owe anything, he should come and ask me. He should come and ask me, I will pay. By that, what the Lord was saying is, I don't owe anybody anything. I said, God, but there are people who are walking about thinking you owe them. He said, no, I don't owe them. There is nothing I owe anybody. Anybody who I promise to bless, I have done it already. Sometimes I pay them back, but because of the hardness of their heart and wickedness and unbelief, they don't take their blessing. It's just like I put money in the bank for you. You refuse to go for the money, and you are blaming me that I didn't pay you. But God is a rewarder of them that diligently seek him. And I pray that you will get to the place where you understand that God has healed you completely. I know people who are walking about, oh, but you know, Daddy, I'm still sick. I'm still sick. It's your mouth that is sick. It's your mouth that is making you sick. The day the weak says, I am strong. The day the redeemed says that I am redeemed, your redemption will become a permanent thing. I pray in the name of Jesus that somebody will stop observing the cloud, and you will stop looking at the wind and walk in your freedom and walk in your liberty. And the Lord turned the captivity of Job when he prayed for his friends. And the Lord gave Job twice. If you are not holding twice by the end of this year, you didn't celebrate the Jubilee well. I see another car. I see another house. I see another land. I see another relationship. I see... I can tell you that in this Jubilee, I have received twice. I received an online ministry called KIA. And because of KIA, brethren, online ministry, when I was coming to church today, I was not worried about the rain, because it will not rain in the whole world. It is only raining in Bogatanga. So I knew somebody in London will be listening to me. Somebody in America will be listening to me. Somebody in Accra will be listening to me. So when I was coming, I was not worried, because I knew that even if it's in an empty room, I will still flow. Instead of lying in Bogatanga and crying, God, look at me, I'm in Bogatanga, I'm alone in Bogatanga, and my friends are in Accra, and I'm in Bogatanga, and look at me, Lord, look at where I've come. No! Mayakatabasa. By the end of 2020, you will have another business. You see the face mask we are wearing face mask. Before Corona, face mask was not a business. In Corona, it became a business. What is your business in Corona? What is your ministry in Corona? Mayakata Suniyat. There is a business in you, there is a ministry in you, there is a family in you, and I challenge you to go into spiritual labor and produce that business and produce that ministry and produce that family. If you can shout, that is your blessing. And Job had twice as much as he had. And the verse number 11 is interesting. And there came unto him all his brethren, all his sisters, and all they that were his acquaintances before. And they did eat bread in his house, and they bemoaned him, and they comforted him of all the evil that the Lord had brought upon him. And that's because in the Jews' mentality, anything you go through, it is God who allowed it. And because it's God who allowed it, it is from the Lord. You see, that is how Muslims are able to undergo trials better than Christians. You know, Muslims can handle crisis better than Christians. No, they are better. When you go to the mosque, you see cripples in front of the mosque. They are not ashamed. They are okay. They are fine. Muslims go through crisis. When you ask them, Yayade, says Sucheva, the equal Allah, they scarcely blame God because they believe He's perfect. And if you are blind, they say it's from God. If you are crippled, they say it's from God. And they don't go to God to accuse Him of anything. That is a Jewish mentality. Of course, that mentality is flawed in the sense that the thief cometh not but for to steal, to kill, and to destroy. But our mentality too is weak. We don't see God in our crisis. We don't see God in our pain. We don't see God in our shame. We've forgotten that all things work together for good to them that love God and are the called according to His purpose. We are not like Joseph, who will say, I know this thing is not from God, I know this thing is from the devil, I know this thing is not from God, I know this thing is from a human being, but what you intended for evil and what the devil intended for evil, God is able to turn it for my good. I pray for somebody in the name of Jesus. I don't know the crisis you are going through right now, but God is about to turn your captivity like you never knew before.